Life does not transform through one big leap. It transforms through intentional steps taken every single day. The truth is, many people wait for the new year, a new decade, or a new opportunity to change, forgetting that change does not come with a date on a calendar. It comes with a decision. If you want 2026 to feel different, you must start acting differently today. Transformation is not about speed, it's about direction. And the direction you choose right now will determine where you stand when 2026 arrives. The first powerful thing you must do is redefine your mindset. Everything in your life begins with the way you think. If you see obstacles as dead ends, you'll stop. But if you see obstacles as stepping stones, you'll keep moving forward. The biggest limitation is not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. A strong mindset doesn't ignore reality, it reframes it. That's why you must train your mind to focus on growth, possibilities, and solutions rather than problems. The second thing you must do is take ownership of your habits. Habits shape identity, and identity shapes destiny. You don't decide your future in one day. You decide it through the small things you do repeatedly. If you want better health, build better daily routines. If you want success, master the discipline of consistency. Your habits are silent architects of your life. Make sure they're building the future you want, not the one you fear. The third thing is protect your environment. People often underestimate how much their surroundings influence them. If you surround yourself with negativity, you will start thinking negatively. But when you place yourself in an environment that challenges and uplifts you, you naturally grow. This is not just about the people you spend time with. It's also about what you read, what you watch, and the conversations you entertain. Your environment is either a cage or a launch pad. Choose wisely. The fourth thing you must do is embrace discomfort. Transformation never happens in comfort zones. Growth requires stretching, failing, and trying again. Many people avoid challenges because they fear embarrassment or rejection. But avoiding discomfort is also avoiding growth. Every breakthrough you've ever had in life came after a moment of struggle. So before 2026, make discomfort your teacher. Seek it, lean into it, and let it shape you. And the fifth powerful thing you must do is define your why. Without a clear purpose, you will run out of energy. Motivation fades, discipline gets tiring, but purpose sustains you. Your why is the reason you get back up when life knocks you down. It's the fuel that carries you through seasons of doubt and difficulty. When you are guided by a strong why, you don't just work harder, you work smarter with passion and direction. So if you truly want to transform your life before 2026, it is not about waiting for the right moment. It's about creating the right habits, environment, and mindset today. Change is not promised to those who wait. It is reserved for those who act. The question is not whether 2026 will come. The real question is, who will you be when it arrives? 5 keynotes of the speech redefine your mindset to focus on growth, not limitations. Take ownership of your habits because they silently shape your future. Protect your environment, ensuring it nurtures progress and positivity. Embrace discomfort as the gateway to real transformation. Define your why to stay driven with clarity and purpose. The first powerful step toward transforming your life for 2026 is to redefine your mindset, because nothing in your external world can shift until the way you think changes first. Mindset is the lens through which you see the world. And if that lens is foggy, cracked, or narrow, then no matter how many opportunities life places in front of you, you won't recognize them, let alone take advantage of them. The reality is that many people go through life with a mindset shaped not by choice, but by circumstance. They inherit their beliefs from their family, their environment, and their past experiences, and without even realizing it, those beliefs act as invisible chains holding them back. If you think life is unfair, you will interpret every challenge as proof of that belief. If you think you're not capable enough, you will sabotage your chances before you even begin. But when you redefine your mindset, you take control of the narrative, and instead of being a passive character in the story of your life, you begin to write your own script. Redefining your mindset does not mean ignoring the difficulties of life. It means choosing to interpret those difficulties in a way that gives you power rather than strips it away. For instance, when someone faces rejection, the instinctive reaction may be to see it as failure and shrink away from future attempts. But a redefined mindset views rejection as feedback, as data to adjust and grow stronger. The difference is not in what happened, but in how the event is interpreted. This shift in thinking turns obstacles into opportunities and setbacks into setups for comebacks. The human mind is extraordinarily powerful. It has the ability to transform pain into purpose and adversity into resilience, but only when you learn to see the world differently. This is why the language you use with yourself matters. If your self-talk is filled with doubt, fear, and limitation, your life will reflect those beliefs. Words like, I can't, I'll never, or I'm not good enough create psychological walls that block you from reaching your potential. Redefining your mindset requires changing the story you tell yourself. Instead of, I can't do this, you begin to say, I'm learning how to do this. Instead of, I always fail, you tell yourself, I'm still figuring it out. That shift may seem small, but it has profound effects on your actions, your persistence, and ultimately your results. Another essential part of redefining your mindset is cultivating a growth-oriented perspective. A fixed mindset believes that talent, intelligence, and ability are static, that you are either born with them or not. A growth mindset, on the other hand, understands that all abilities can be developed with effort, learning, and perseverance. When you adopt this perspective, Failure is no longer proof of inadequacy. It becomes evidence of progress. Each mistake is not a verdict, but a stepping stone toward mastery. With a growth mindset, you stop comparing your journey to others and instead focus on how far you have come and how much more you can achieve through consistent effort. Redefining your mindset also means training yourself to see abundance instead of scarcity. Too many people live with the belief that there isn't enough money, enough opportunities, enough success for everyone. That scarcity mentality breeds jealousy, competition, and fear. But when you believe in abundance, you begin to see possibilities everywhere. You realize that someone else's success does not take away from your own. In fact, it can inspire you. You recognize that opportunities are created, not merely found. This shift changes the way you show up in relationships, in your career, and in life itself. Because instead of clinging to what little you think you have, you boldly create and share, knowing that there is always more to gain. This redefinition of mindset is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice. Each morning, you have a choice. Will you see the world as hostile or as full of possibility? Will you see yourself as limited or as capable of growth? The truth is, your mind defaults to old patterns. And if you are not intentional, you will slip back into fear and self-doubt. That is why developing habits that reinforce a positive, growth-centered mindset is crucial. Reading, journaling, practicing gratitude, surrounding yourself with people who inspire you. These are all ways to rewire your thinking over time. The more you practice, the stronger your new mindset becomes, until it is no longer something you force, but something that feels natural. When you redefine your mindset, you begin to notice opportunities that were always there but previously invisible to you. You take risks you would have avoided before. You persist longer when things get tough. You recover quicker from failure because you see it differently. In essence, you change the way you experience life itself. That is the power of the mind. It can either be your greatest enemy or your most valuable ally. If you want to transform your life before 2026, the first and most important step is to make your mind your ally. Once that shift happens, every other change becomes possible. The second powerful step to transform your life before 2026 is to take ownership of your habits, because habits are the invisible forces shaping the direction of your future. Most people think their lives are the result of big decisions, but in reality, it's the small choices repeated daily that accumulate into who they become. The food you eat, the words you speak, the routines you follow, the way you react under stress, all of these actions may feel insignificant in the moment, yet over time they create your identity. If you ignore your habits, they will quietly design a life for you that you may not want. But if you take responsibility for them, they will become the foundation of the future you dream about. Taking ownership means realizing that your habits are not something that just happen to you. They are a reflection of what you've tolerated and allowed. For example, if you've developed the habit of procrastinating, it's not because you are doomed to be lazy. It's because you've repeatedly chosen short-term comfort over long-term growth. If you've built the habit of scrolling endlessly on your phone, it's not an accident. It's a series of unconscious decisions stacking up. But here's the encouraging truth. The same way bad habits are formed through repetition, good habits can also be built with the same process. You are not trapped by your current patterns. You have the power to replace them with better ones, one step at a time. The key is to understand that habits are not just actions, they are votes for the kind of person you want to become. Every time you choose to exercise instead of staying in bed, you cast a vote for being a healthier person. Every time you choose to read a book instead of wasting hours on distractions, you cast a vote for being wiser. Each habit is like a brick, and day by day you are building the house of your future. The question is, are you building a house that you'll be proud to live in, or one that you'll regret? To truly take ownership of your habits, you must first become aware of them. Many people operate on autopilot, repeating the same routines without realizing how much damage or progress they're causing. If you wake up late every day, eat unhealthy meals, and waste evenings on unproductive activities, you may not feel the cost immediately. But years later, the weight of those decisions shows up in your health, your career, and your happiness. Awareness is the first step. Begin to notice what you do consistently and ask yourself, is this moving me closer to the person I want to be? If the answer is no, then it's time to take control. It's also important to start small when reshaping your habits. Many people set grand goals like exercising for 2 hours every day or reading a book every week, but they fail because the leap is too large. True transformation comes from small, consistent actions that compound over time. 5 minutes of exercise each morning builds the identity of someone who values fitness. Reading just 10 pages daily builds the identity of a lifelong learner. These small wins create momentum, and momentum is the secret ingredient to lasting change. Ownership of habits is not about perfection. It's about consistency. Another key to taking ownership is recognizing the triggers behind your habits. Habits are often tied to cues in your environment. Maybe you snack on junk food whenever you watch TV, or you pick up your phone whenever you feel bored. If you want to change the habit, you must change the environment. Replace the chips in your kitchen with fruit. Leave your phone in another room while working. Design your surroundings so that good habits become easier and bad habits become harder. This is what it means to take responsibility, not waiting for willpower to save you, but creating systems that support who you want to become. It's also vital to remember that your habits are not just about personal success. They shape how you show up for others. A person who builds the habit of listening attentively strengthens their relationships. Someone who practices the habit of gratitude daily radiates positivity to the people around them. When you own your habits, you're not only transforming your own life, but influencing the lives of those connected to you. Your habits ripple outward, and they either inspire or discourage the people in your circle. Taking ownership also requires honesty. You cannot build powerful habits if you are constantly making excuses for the bad ones. Many people justify their behaviors with phrases like, "That's just the way I am," or "I don't have time." But ownership means stripping away excuses and taking full responsibility. Even if circumstances are challenging, you always have the power to choose how you respond. You may not control everything, but you do control the habits you nurture. Ultimately, your habits are the bridge between who you are today and who you want to become tomorrow. They are the daily proof of your commitment to growth. By taking ownership, you step out of passivity and into intentional living. You stop drifting and start directing. Every habit you build is a declaration of your future. And every habit you eliminate is a step away from self-sabotage. If you want to arrive at 2026 as a stronger, healthier, more fulfilled version of yourself, and the journey begins with this simple but profound act, taking full ownership of the small, repeated actions that make up your life. The third powerful step to transform your life before 2026 is to protect your environment, because the surroundings you live in and the people you engage with directly influence who you become. Many people underestimate this truth and think they can rise above any environment through sheer willpower. But the reality is that your surroundings act like silent sculptors, shaping your mindset, your habits, and ultimately your results. If you spend most of your time around negativity, laziness, or mediocrity, it is almost impossible not to absorb those qualities yourself. On the other hand, when you place yourself in spaces filled with growth, positivity, and challenge, you naturally begin to align with those higher standards. The environment is not neutral. It is always shaping you in one direction or the other, and protecting it is one of the most important responsibilities you have for your future self. Think about how plants grow. A seed might have the potential to become a giant tree, but if it is placed in dry soil without water or sunlight, it will never thrive. Human potential works the same way. You may have enormous talent, ambition, and dreams, but if your environment is toxic, filled with discouragement and distractions, that potential will never fully develop. Protecting your environment means creating conditions where growth becomes the natural outcome. It means being intentional about the people you spend time with, the information you consume, and even the physical spaces you occupy. Each of these factors has a direct impact on the energy you carry and the decisions you make every day. One of the most important aspects of environment is the people you surround yourself with. Relationships act like mirrors, reflecting back the energy you give and receive. If you are constantly around people who complain, criticize, or settle for less, you will eventually lower your standards to fit in. On the other hand, if you connect with individuals who challenge you to be better, who encourage your progress, and who believe in growth, you will naturally rise to meet that level. Protecting your environment may mean limiting contact with people who drain your energy, even if they are close to you, and expanding time with those who inspire and uplift you. This is not about arrogance or thinking you are above others. It is about safeguarding your mental and emotional space so you can become the best version of yourself. But environment goes beyond people. It also includes what you feed your mind every single day. The books you read, the videos you watch, the podcasts you listen to, and the social media content you scroll through are all shaping your thoughts, whether you realize it or not. If you constantly consume content filled with negativity, gossip, or fear, you will begin to see the world through that lens. But if you fill your mind with knowledge, wisdom, and ideas that inspire growth, your perspective will expand, and so will your opportunities. Protecting your environment means guarding your attention fiercely, because what enters your mind repeatedly eventually becomes your belief system. Physical space also matters more than most people realize. The condition of the room where you sleep, the desk where you work, or the home you live in can either create clarity or chaos. A cluttered space often leads to a cluttered mind, while an organized environment promotes focus and calmness. When you intentionally design your physical surroundings to reflect order, positivity, and inspiration, you set yourself up to think and act more effectively. Even small changes like keeping your workspace tidy, adding visuals that motivate you, or removing distractions can significantly influence your productivity and mindset. Another part of protecting your environment is being mindful of the conversations you allow. Words are powerful, and repeated conversations can either empower you or slowly weaken your vision. If you engage regularly in gossip, negativity, or discussions that go nowhere, you will drain the energy needed for your goals. But if you engage in conversations about ideas, growth, and possibilities, you feed your mind with fuel for transformation. Protecting your environment often requires courage. The courage to walk away from conversations that no longer serve your future, and the courage to initiate new ones that align with your purpose. It is also worth noting that your environment does not remain fixed. You have the power to shape it. If you feel surrounded by negativity, you don't have to accept it as permanent. You can create new circles, seek new communities, and design new habits that shift your atmosphere. It may mean joining groups of like-minded people, finding mentors, or spending more time in spaces that push you out of your comfort zone. The point is, you are not helpless. You are the architect of your environment, and what you allow in today will shape who you become tomorrow. Protecting your environment requires constant awareness. It is not about building a bubble where you avoid challenges. It is about making sure the influences around you push you upward rather than pull you downward. When you are intentional about this, growth becomes less about force and more about flow. You don't have to fight so hard against resistance because your surroundings naturally encourage you to do the right things. The energy you absorb from your environment becomes the fuel for your discipline, creativity, and vision. If you truly want to transform your life for 26, you must take this responsibility seriously. Protect your environment like a treasure because in many ways it is the soil in which your future is growing. The fourth powerful step to transform your life before 2026 is to embrace discomfort because true growth and transformation never happen within the limits of your comfort zone. The comfort zone feels safe, predictable, and easy, but it is also the place where dreams die quietly and potential goes unrealized. Comfort protects you from risk, but it also protects you from progress. If you keep choosing what feels easy today, you sacrifice the version of yourself that you could become tomorrow. The truth is, every breakthrough in your life has always been preceded by discomfort, whether it was learning a new skill, facing rejection, or taking a step into the unknown. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is the signal that you are stretching, growing, and moving towards something greater. When you think about moments in your life that shaped you the most, you will notice they were not the easy ones. It wasn't the days when everything went smoothly that built your character. It was the challenges that tested your resilience. The difficult conversations, the failures, the losses, the times you wanted to give up, those were the moments that forced you to become stronger. Yet many people spend their lives avoiding discomfort at all costs, believing that if they can just stay safe and avoid risk, they can find peace. But what they actually find is stagnation, and with stagnation comes frustration and regret. To transform before 2026, you must reverse this mindset. Instead of running away from discomfort, you must lean into it, because that is where growth lies. Discomfort is the gap between who you are now and who you want to be. Every time you step in that gap, you feel the tension of uncertainty, and that tension is necessary. It forces you to adapt, to think differently, and to act in ways you never have before. For example, if you want to get healthier, you must embrace the discomfort of discipline in your eating habits and exercise routines. If you want to grow in your career, you must embrace the discomfort of taking on challenges you don't fully feel ready for. If you want deeper relationships, you must embrace the discomfort of vulnerability, of opening up and being honest even when it feels risky. In every area of life, the price of transformation is paid in discomfort. One of the reasons people resist discomfort is because they confuse it with danger. Our brains are wired for survival, and anything unfamiliar feels threatening. But there is a difference between discomfort and danger. Discomfort feels like fear, but it is often just the signal that you are in new territory. Danger is real risk to your safety, while discomfort is only the stretching of your limits. When you train yourself to recognize this difference, you stop running from discomfort and instead welcome it as a teacher. You begin to see that the nervousness you feel before a big presentation, the uncertainty before a life change, or the anxiety of stepping into a new role are not signs to turn back. They are signs that you are growing. Another truth about discomfort is that it humbles you. It strips away arrogance and forces you to face your weaknesses. This is not a punishment, it is an opportunity. When you struggle, you discover areas you need to improve. When you fail, you gain clarity on what doesn't work. Discomfort is life's way of refining you, of chiseling away at the rough edges so that the best version of you can emerge. Those who embrace discomfort with humility end up more resilient, adaptable, and prepared for the challenges of the future. Those who avoid it remain stuck in cycles of frustration, always wondering why nothing changes. There is also a hidden reward in discomfort. It expands your capacity. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable the more you expose yourself to it. The first time you face rejection, it hurts deeply, but after experiencing it and learning from it, you develop resilience. The first time you step into a new challenge, it feels terrifying, but once you've done it, your confidence grows. Each uncomfortable experience adds to your strength, making you capable of handling more in the future. By 2026, if you consistently embrace discomfort, you will look back and realize that what once felt impossible has become part of your normal reality. That is the power of leaning into the uncomfortable. It stretches you until you grow into someone you didn't know you could be. It's important to note that embracing discomfort is not about seeking pain for its own sake. It's about willingly facing the short-term struggles that lead to long-term rewards. It's choosing to put in the work today so you can reap the benefits tomorrow. It's choosing to confront your fears instead of avoiding them. It's choosing growth over ease, knowing that the easy path leads to mediocrity, while the difficult path leads to transformation. Every time you make that choice, you are shaping the person you will be when 2026 arrives. So when you feel fear, uncertainty, or struggle, do not interpret it as a sign to stop. See it as confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. Embrace discomfort as your companion on the journey to transformation. Because when you lean into it, you discover strength you never knew you had, resilience you didn't realize was possible, and a future that would remain out of reach if you had chosen the safety of comfort. Discomfort is not the obstacle. It is the doorway to the life you are meant to live. The fifth powerful step to transform your life before 2026 is to define your why. Because without a clear sense of purpose, every effort you make will eventually lose momentum. Motivation alone is not enough to carry you through the challenges of life. Motivation fades when things get hard, when obstacles appear, or when results don't come as quickly as you hope. Discipline, too, can feel heavy if it is not tied to a deeper reason. What truly sustains you through the highs and lows of life is clarity of purpose. Your why is the fuel behind your actions, the compass that keeps you moving forward when distractions and difficulties try to pull you off course. Defining your why means asking yourself the deeper questions that go beyond surface level goals. Most people say they want success, but success in itself is not a strong enough reason to keep going when the road gets tough. What you need is a vision that connects with your heart, something that gives meaning to the sacrifices you are making. For some, that why might be creating a better life for their family. For others, it might be leaving a legacy, making an impact, or proving to themselves that they are capable of more than they once believed. Whatever it is, your why must be personal, clear, and powerful enough to remind you of why you cannot give up. Without a why, your actions feel empty. You can wake up early, work hard, and chase goals, but eventually you will question why you are putting yourself through the struggle if you don't know what it's all for. This is why so many people start strong in January with resolutions and goals, but by March, their drive has faded. They were fueled by initial excitement, but not anchored in purpose. Defining your why anchors you. It allows you to endure discomfort, embrace discipline, and stay consistent because you're not just doing something for the sake of it. You're doing it because it's tied to something that matters deeply to you. Your why also helps you filter decisions. In a world filled with distractions and endless opportunities, it's easy to get pulled in 100 directions at once. You may say yes to things that sound good, but don't align with your values. And as a result, you feel busy but not fulfilled. When you have a strong why, decision-making becomes clearer. You can ask yourself, does this align with my purpose? Does this bring me closer to the person I want to become? If the answer is no, you can confidently let it go. A clear purpose eliminates confusion and brings focus, and with focus comes progress. Defining your why is not always simple. It requires honesty and reflection. It requires looking at your life and asking, what do I truly care about? What impact do I want to have? What will I regret not doing when I look back years from now? These questions are uncomfortable because they force you to look beyond superficial achievements and face what truly matters to you. But the discomfort is necessary because clarity comes only when you're willing to dig deep. Once you discover your why, it becomes a source of strength you can return to every single day. It's also important to understand that your why evolves with time. The purpose that drives you today may not be the same one that drives you 5 years from now, and that is normal. What matters is that you are clear about it in this season of your life and that you align your actions with it. If your why is to build financial freedom, then your habits, your learning, and your sacrifices should reflect that. If your why is to impact others, then the way you show up in your relationships and your work must reflect that too. A why is not just a statement. It is a commitment to live in alignment with your deeper values. Defining your why also changes the way you experience struggle. Challenges will no longer feel like punishment, but like necessary steps on the path to something meaningful. For example, waking up early feels exhausting if you're doing it just for the sake of discipline. But if you connect it to your why, perhaps building a better future for your family, it transforms from a chore into a meaningful act. Sacrifices stop feeling like losses and start feeling like investments in your vision. That is the power of purpose. It changes your relationship with effort and pain. Your why also has the ability to inspire others. People are naturally drawn to those who live with clarity and conviction. When you live guided by your purpose, you influence not just your own path, but also the people around you. Your consistency, your resilience, and your determination become a message to others that they too can live with meaning. In this way, your why extends beyond yourself. It becomes a ripple that impacts your family, your community, and maybe even the world. By 2026, if you take the time to define your why, you will not just be someone who sets goals. You will be someone who lives with direction. You will wake up each day with clarity, knowing exactly why you are doing what you are doing. That sense of purpose will carry you through days of doubt, seasons of struggle, and moments when giving up seems easier. Your why will keep you grounded and remind you that every step, no matter how small, is leading you towards something that truly matters. And that is what will ultimately transform your life in ways that nothing else can. Transformation is never an accident. It is always the result of intentional choices made day after day. As you look ahead to 2026, the question is not whether change is possible. It is whether you are willing to do what it takes to create it. Redefining your mindset gives you the lens to see possibility where others see limitation. Taking ownership of your habits equips you with the small, consistent actions that build lasting results. Protecting your environment ensures that the influences around you nurture growth rather than suffocate it. Embracing discomfort allows you to step into the very experiences that strengthen and expand you. And defining your why anchors everything with purpose, giving meaning to the struggle and clarity to your path. If you commit to these 5 powerful steps, 2026 will not just be another year on the calendar. It will be the year you arrive as a transformed version of yourself. The future is not waiting for you to be ready. It is being shaped right now by the choices you make today. The only real question left is, who will you decide to become when the opportunity of 2026 finally arrives?